Episode 1, Trigger Night. Part 6, Anger Unchained. The night bled over the city like a bruise, dark, wide, and waiting. Scarlett stood in front of the mirror, her face cut in half by neon, her hands steady, her eyes cold fire. Every scar had memory, every movement, intent. She loaded her weapons as if sealing promises with steel. The apartment was silent, except for the ticking of her pulse. Rain started again, slicing the window pane, reflecting the city's veins. She tied her hair, black leather tight around her arms, whispering a single vow, no mercy left. Down the alley, the world smelled of oil, smoke, and something unholy. She moved through it like a shadow birthed from pain. Motorcycles roared past, but her steps made no sound. She was the quiet between chaos. The Vancetech Tower rose like a black cathedral, glass and death reflecting each other. Security drones circled above, red eyes scanning the storm. She knew their rhythm, the heartbeat of a machine she once helped design. Scarlett crouched beside a vent shaft, pressed her glove against the scanner, and smiled bitterly. Still accepted her ghost signature lived inside their system. She slid in, the metal breathing around her like a throat swallowing a secret. The shaft carried her breath back to her ears. Voices echoed below, guards laughing, boots scraping, metal clinking. She waited until a flashlight beam passed, then dropped soundless behind them. The first man turned, confusion blooming too late. Her knife sliced his throat like a whisper. The second reached for his comm. She dislocated his wrist and buried a bullet in his jaw. 2 seconds. 2 bodies. Silence returned. Scarlett dragged them into shadow, covered the blood with a tarp, and kept moving. Her heartbeat was metronomic, not fear, just precision. Every corridor pulsed red with emergency light. She followed the hum of generators, heading upward. The elevator shaft yawned open like a throat. She clipped her line, climbed through rainwater dripping from above. Halfway up, a drone scanned her. She fired once, a clean pulse to the optic lens. It dropped, sizzling in sparks. When she reached the executive floor, the air changed. It smelled of money, sterilized lies, and betrayal. The marble reflected her, a ghost draped in vengeance. She stepped forward, weapon low, eyes higher. 2 guards flanked the door to the boardroom. She moved like smoke. A flash, a twist, a muffled scream. Their guns fell before their knees did. She took a breath. The door slid open. Inside, the room was half dark. Screens glowed across the wall faces, data, chaos. And standing before them was him, the assistant, Vance's right hand. The man who sold her out for a paycheck. He smiled when he saw her, like a ghost he'd already buried. "Scarlett," he said, voice dripping poison, "you should have stayed dead." She answered with silence and the click of her gun. Bullets shattered the screens, light exploded across the room. He dove behind the console, firing back with the calm of a trained liar. Scarlett rolled, glass slicing her arm, muzzle flashing like lightning. They danced between gunfire and betrayal. He was faster than she remembered, colder. She moved closer, her breath sinking with each shot. Every ricochet carved memory into steel. He shouted, "You don't know what he promised me." She snarled, "I don't care," then fired. The bullet grazed his shoulder, slammed him against the table. He laughed through the pain. "You can't stop Vance. He owns the police." "Then I'll burn his kingdom," she hissed. He lunged. They crashed into the console, sparks exploding. Her knife clattered away. His hand gripped her throat. Eyes met rage and regret. She jammed her thumb into his wound. He screamed. She flipped him, slammed his head into the glass, again and again until it shattered. Blood spread like ink. She didn't stop until he stopped moving. For a second, the world held still. Her reflection in the cracked glass stared back, drenched in blood, eyes hollowed by resolve. The assistant twitched once, and she shot him through the skull. No second chances. Then the alarms howled. Red light flooded every surface. Heavy boots thundered in the hallway. Corporate security armored, mechanical, loyal to money. She grabbed her rifle, broke the window, and jumped. The glass broke into a rain of diamonds as she fell through the storm. Wind howled around her, the sound of freedom and fury. She caught the edge of a lower platform, her shoulder dislocating with a violent snap. She gritted her teeth and climbed. Above, spotlights swept the rain, searching for her like hunters for prey. She ducked behind an exhaust vent, reloading with trembling hands. Her body screamed in pain, but her eyes burned steady. She whispered through the rain, "Not yet, not done." Two guards appeared on the balcony. Their visors glowed crimson through the downpour. She moved low. Swift one shot to the knee, another to the chest. Both fell without words, swallowed by thunder. Scarlett slipped through a maintenance door, dripping water and rage. Inside, the corridor pulsed with red lights and alarms. Gunfire echoed from below reinforcements. She had minutes before they boxed her in. A drone drifted into view, scanning with mechanical patience. She crouched behind a pillar, waited for its hum to peak, then lunged. Her knife plunged through its optic lens, sparks raining on her gloves. She whispered, "You shouldn't have looked." She reached the control room, the nerve of the tower. Rows of monitors painted her face in flickering blue. Every floor was alive with chaos, her chaos. She smiled grimly. Good. Let them bleed confusion. She hacked into the security feed with a stolen access key. Data streamed like veins across the screens. Names, access routes, patrol rotations, all visible. And in the center, Vance's penthouse, floor 99. The image of him froze her pulse. Still alive, still commanding. His suit pressed. His smile practiced a god pretending to be human. She whispered, "You'll fall, too." She pocketed a hard drive, ripped cables free, and turned. A squad burst through the door, helmets, rifles, shouting. Scarlett dove behind the console as bullets chewed the walls. Glass and blood danced together in the strobe of gunfire. She rolled out, firing short, clean bursts. Two dropped instantly. A third tried to flank. She swung the butt of her rifle into his jaw, twisted, and shot point blank. The sound was final, efficient. One grenade clinked across the floor. Her eyes widened. She kicked it back through the doorway, dove behind a desk. The explosion swallowed the room in white light. When the smoke cleared, nothing moved. Her ears rang with the ghost of thunder. She pulled herself up, coughing blood, laughing once sharp and bitter. "You'll have to try harder." The stairwell ahead was burning. She took the elevator shaft instead, sliding down cables wrapped in fire. Each level she passed screamed with chaos, alarms, flames, men shouting her name. The tower was alive and dying at once. Halfway down, she landed on a balcony slick with rain. Below, the streets glowed with red and blue police sirens converging. But she knew those badges bought, corrupted, hollow. They were his puppets. She turned toward the West Wing, the executive archive. That's where the truth was buried. Every transaction, every kill order, every ghost she'd created for them. She needed proof before she bled out. Inside, the air was cooler, sterile, and silent. Rows of glass servers blinked like quiet witnesses. She walked between them, her reflection multiplying into 100 versions of herself, each one colder than the last. A voice echoed through the intercom. "Scarlett, you've made a mess." It was Vance. Smooth, amused, monstrous. "I almost miss working with you." Her grip tightened on her weapon. "You'll miss more than that," she whispered, then shot the nearest camera. Sparks burst like small explosions of defiance. Footsteps approached behind her, too light for armor. She turned fast. A woman in a suit, pistol raised a corporate assassin. "You shouldn't have come back," the woman said. Scarlett smiled faintly. "I didn't come to talk." Then the lights went out, and the fight began. Darkness fell like a curtain of ash as Scarlett entered the upper archive. The walls hummed with static, the sound of machines choking on secrets. Her boots made no noise. Her breathing was the only pulse left alive. She felt eyes in the dark before she saw the shadow move. A whisper cut through the black. the sound of a blade leaving skin. Scarlett turned, sparks flashing as steel met steel. The assassin's knife slid inches from her throat, slicing air. She countered, elbow snapping against bone, fury guiding precision. They circled two ghosts beneath the failing lights. Every movement was brutal, intimate, stripped of hesitation. Scarlett blocked, twisted, and drove her knee into the woman's chest. The impact cracked ribs. Pain became rhythm. The assassin didn't scream, she smiled, blood on her teeth. "Vance sends his love," she hissed. Scarlett's blade answered first, cutting the sentence short. Silence swallowed the threat like mercy denied. Her breath trembled, but didn't break. She cleaned her knife on the assassin's sleeve, eyes cold and unblinking. There was no time to mourn or to question. Only the next step, the next room, the next bullet. The archives spread before her, endless racks blinking with dying light. Information pulsed through cables like veins of a living monster. Scarlett moved fast, sliding the stolen drive into the terminal core. Her code began tearing through firewalls like claws through flesh. Data spilled onto the screen, payment chains, forged warrants, hit lists, every dirty badge, every covered killing. Her husband's name, Carter Hale, hidden in a file labeled collateral. The line beneath it read, "Authorized by Chief Vance." The screen blurred as tears burned her vision, then vanished in anger. She copied the data, jaw tight, hand trembling with control. The drive beeped, progress complete. That sound felt heavier than gunfire. The lights flickered again. A voice slithered through the comms. Calm, mocking, familiar. "Truth won't save you, Scarlett. It only kills slower." Vance, alive, watching, enjoying. She holstered the drive, chambered around, and answered with silence. Bullets were her language now. Gunfire erupted, guards stormed the room, armor gleaming under strobe. Scarlett dropped low, returning fire in surgical bursts. Each shot found purpose. A throat, a joint, an exposed visor. Bodies collapsed in sync with her heartbeat. She moved through the chaos like music. Every motion deliberate, violent, beautiful. A bullet grazed her ribs. Fire bloomed under her jacket. She gritted her teeth, using pain as balance. Another guard charged too close. She grabbed his wrist, redirected his own trigger. Red flash. End of breath. Smoke filled the air. Alarms screamed like mechanical guilt. Scarlett reloaded, ducked behind a server tower, and counted remaining rounds. 5. Enough for the truth. She pushed forward, firing again. The last two guards hesitated, fear catching up to orders. She gave them one warning. Walk. One dropped his gun. The other didn't. Only one walked out. The echo of violence lingered long after silence returned. Scarlett's breathing steadied, heart pounding like a war drum slowing its beat. She retrieved the drive, tucked it close to her skin. Mission still burning, body still shaking. She limped toward the elevator at the far end of the corridor. Each step smeared blood across the polished floor, hers and theirs. At the end, gold doors gleamed like a gate to hell. Top floor. Vance's office. Her reflection stared back, fractured, fierce, almost unrecognizable. The teacher she once was had burned away. Only the hunter remained. Scarlett pressed the button. The ascent began. The elevator climbed through floors of corruption lights, flickering in rhythm. She thought of Carter, the sound of his laugh, the warmth of his hand. Memory sharpened the rage, carved it into purpose. By the time the doors opened, she was no longer human, she was vengeance. Vance's office was vast, panoramic, reeking of power. The city stretched beneath it alive, dirty, complicit. He stood by the window, hands clasped, suit immaculate. "You came farther than I thought," he said, almost proud. Scarlett raised her gun. "Too far to stop," he smirked. "You could have joined me. The world needs predators." Her finger curled. "Then let's see who hunts better." In note is not God. In note is not God. He tapped a hidden switch. Metal shutters split open across the ceiling. Drones descended like vultures, targeting lights blinking red. Scarlett dove behind the desk as plasma fire ripped through marble. Shards of gold and smoke filled the air. She rolled, shot two drones mid-spin, glass raining down around her. One exploded near the window, scattering sparks across his carpeted throne. The rest adjusted, flanking fast. She grabbed a steel rod and struck one from the sky. The impact jolted through her arms, pain electric and pure. She hurled the broken drone into another, the crash echoing like thunder. One final shot ended the last machine. Then silence trembling, waiting to shatter again. When it did, it came from behind. Vance struck her with a shock baton, current ripping through her nerves. She hit the floor hard, weapon sliding away. Her scream was swallowed by thunder. He loomed over her, face carved from arrogance. "You never learned, Scarlett. Justice is a lie we sell to fools." She spat blood. "Then I'm the last fool standing." The baton came down again, but she caught it this time. Her grip locked like iron. Electricity seared her palms, but she twisted until the metal screamed. The baton cracked against his jaw, his arrogance finally broke. He stumbled, bleeding, shocked. Scarlett stood barely every breath, a rebellion. Her body trembled, but her aim was steady. He lunged again, desperate, wounded animal rage. She sidestepped, slammed her knee into his ribs, gun drawn in one motion. "You can't stop it," he gasped, voice cracked. "The system lives beyond me." Scarlett's voice was ice. "Then I'll kill the system too. One trigger, pull final, inevitable, absolute." The bullet found his chest, tearing through silk and lies. For a moment, time froze, his body suspended against the lightning. Then gravity claimed him, dragging him backward through glass. The skyline opened to swallow a god. Scarlett stood at the edge, wind screaming around her. Her chest heaved. Blood slicked her side, her arm, her will. Rain hit her face, not forgiveness, just reminder. She whispered, "For Carter." Rain kept falling through the hole in the sky. Scarlett lay there, staring at the city lights reflected in blood. The sound of the storm blended with the pulse in her ears, steady, relentless. She'd won, but victory had no warmth. The gun slipped from her hand, clattering against the marble. Each breath came like a confession, like she was purging the ghosts one by one. Carter's face flashed behind her eyes, the smile before the bullet, the love before the loss. Her fingers curled around that memory as if it were a weapon. Sirens began to rise below, faint, distorted through the rain. She knew they weren't coming to save her. They were coming to erase what she'd done, just like they'd erased him. Scarlett pushed herself up, blood streaking the floor in dark ribbons. Pain spread through her ribs, her spine, her soul, but she refused to fall again. Her shadow stretched long across the glass, broken yet unyielding. Even shattered, she stood. She walked toward Vance's desk, a monolith of corruption and arrogance. Documents scattered, monitors flickered with dying data. She found the last encrypted drive, still blinking red. She pocketed it, whispering, "Not done, not yet. If you resoned, one slave." In the reflection of the window, she saw herself hair matted, eyes burning. Not the teacher, not the widow. Something forged between vengeance and justice. Something Carter would barely recognize but understand. Thunder cracked above as if the heavens had taken notice. She limped to the elevator, leaving a trail of blood and defiance. When the doors closed, the mirrored walls caught her stare again. No hesitation. No forgiveness. Her voice was low, raw, the sound of truth cut open. "They took everything. They thought I'd break." She pressed the floor button. The descent began, slow as a heartbeat. "But I don't break. I burn." The elevator lights flickered. Her reflection doubled, tripled an army of herself. Each one whispered the same words, echoing in metal and smoke. "I'll find them all. Every last name behind his death." Her hand tightened on the blood-slick handle of her gun. She exhaled, steady now, a rhythm forged in violence. "By the time I'm done, this city will bleed clean." The storm roared. and the lights cut out for just a breath. When they came back, she was already gone. Outside, the neon bled across puddles like veins. Scarlett walked into it, a silhouette reborn from ruin. Police sirens screamed somewhere behind her, but she didn't turn back. The war had only begun, and she was already its flame. Somewhere above the rain, a voice from memory whispered, "Promise me, Scarlett, never stop fighting what's wrong." She tilted her head to the sky, rain streaking down like tears she couldn't afford. Her lips moved once more. Steady, lethal. "I swear it, Carter. I'll burn their world to ashes." Then she disappeared into the night smoke. Thunder. Vengeance. The city swallowed her, the legend began. Trigger Night had ended, but the blood oath was just beginning.